Hello. Hey, welcome. How are you doing? Ashley and Bella here. And today we are starting something new, starting something special. So every Tuesday, we do our Portals of Deconditioning cohort. We have our meeting with them following the transit. And so we've already gone live on Tuesday. You've seen us live on Tuesday. We were playing around with the 40th archetype, the father. So Tuesdays we're kind of feeling like are going to be this theme where we're going to come on and we're going to talk about the transits. We're going to talk about what's alive. And Thursdays, we want to come on and talk about what's alive as well. However, on Thursdays, it's kind of a business by design type theme. So Tuesdays will be archetypes and transit talk, and Thursdays will be business by design. And we're not going to prepare. It's not a teaching thing. It's not a masterclass thing. It's what's alive for us. So at noon Pacific time, 3 Eastern time, we meet with our business by design cohort. And what we're doing with them is we're going into brand fuel and going into the vocation sphere. So that's what we've been talking about for the last 4 weeks. This is our last meeting together, and diving into core wounds, diving into the fuel that fuels your mission, your business expression within the world. And today we're going to have a really cool creative expression exercise. So with Business by Design being this new series that we're going to do, you can expect us to come here every Thursday. So if you hop on between like 9 and 11:30, 9:30 and 11:30, we'll come on. It may or may not be consistent with the time, but for sure, Thursday in the morning, we'd like to create this routine. Bella, did you want to come in and add anything, share anything, clarify?
Yeah, no, everything you said was clear. And it is cool to kind of have those worlds. Like I feel like on Tuesdays, we are going into that deconditioning wheel and really feeling into the transits and everything that is kind of the layers that are ready to lift off in us. And then on Thursdays, the day for me at least is completely into that more, what we say, the Merkaba, or the way that we the way that we are expressing in the world, which actually needs to have that balance inside of us with the yin and yang, masculine, feminine, being and doing. And that's so much what I've been feeling into today. We are working with the vocation sphere in Business by Design, and we often speak about it in a Gene Key sense that we have a core wound that is imprinted. It's not personal. We don't choose. Our soul might choose it, but it's not that we come in and we know. So it's there, and the first 21 years of our lives, we're going to be reminded through what happens to us about what is it that the soul has decided to work with. And then we work through it, and we can use the Venus sequence, we can use the core wound, the SQ, all this. And what I was seeing today is kind of going about it a different way, because somehow we're also not wounded. So when we can feel into the body and have the soul and the spirit, which for me, the body and the soul have to do with each other, and it kind of comes from the bottom of Mother Earth, and we need to probably be enough aware of our lower chakras so that we actually want to be home. Because sometimes when we are too kind of when we don't have that connection with our own body, it can be too uncomfortable to be in our sacral or tune into our root or be in our solar plexus that just pulls us everywhere. So it takes a kind of embodiment practice of wanting to be there. And then the other part is what I feel is the spirit part, or the triangle of evolution, and that is the awareness and spirit. And what I feel is that what happens when we can connect the spirit, so our awareness, our connection to the sky, to above what's just our mind, and then the connection to the body, to the soul, and what's even below, what's Mother Earth. When they can meet in the middle, that's when the split, the division that we can see in ourselves, that we can see in humanity right now, that we can see everywhere, the split, the division, the discord can come together in us. And that's how we can work in our life as a human, as an individual. That's how we can work in relationships. That's how we can work in business. And what I could see today is that when we tune in and we allow soul and spirit the feminine, the masculine, to come into our heart together, actually we don't need to work with a wound, because everything and anything that isn't in sacred union, that isn't aligned, it's going to show up. And for some of us, maybe it's the physical vessel that we haven't cleared out. Well, then there's going to be some kind of discomfort, dis-ease that shows. And if we have maybe clear there, it's going to be in our outer. It can be mold on the wall, in your house. There's no way of coming into union that where like everything that leaves us, every not self that leaves us is going to kind of show itself on its way out. And even when it's not on its way out, it's kind of talking to us, because we are here to, I guess, learn to discern the true self, the soul and the spirit from the not self. And I know that this is kind of out there, but it's like, that's what I'm feeling. And instead, right before now that we are going to go in and work with the core wound vocation, I feel like, what if we can just have a felt sense of soul and spirit meeting in our body, and then allow everything that isn't aligned to kind of just burn off in some way, or leave us. That's what's the life for me.
We can get so, I love what you're saying. We can get so caught up in the healing, the digging deep, the coming into alignment, I feel like we can trust our vocation sphere. We can trust our gifting. We can trust our spirit and soul to do what they need to. We just have to get out of the way. We just have to surrender. And I feel like, actually, there's a quote that I was reading yesterday. Actually, my housekeepers came and they left it and stapled it to the paper, which they don't normally do. And it said, "We are each gifted in a unique and important way. It is our privilege and our adventure to discover our own special light." And it's true. It is an adventure and it is a privilege. And it's not to be taken lightly. It's kind of not to be taken seriously either. We're here to play. We're here to have fun. As soon as you go into the seriousness of what's my gift, what's my mission, what's my purpose, it becomes so arduous and so heavy that we almost can't see it anymore. But when you were a kid, you knew what your genius was. You knew what you were good at. And I feel like it's just a remembering of sorts. And when you're diving into this part of you, you can get so lost in the emotions and the thoughts and the conditioning and all these things that we've kind of built up and taken on over our life. But it was always there. It was always there for us. And with mine, mine is the 53.5, and it's immaturity, expansion, superabundance. The truth that I'm discovering is I don't need to consciously work with it. I'm going to evolve regardless. I'm lucky in the fact that, it's in the root and it's a format energy and it's unconscious. It's all unconscious for us, right? It's not a conscious thing. We're not working with it with our minds. It's unconscious and it's a format energy, which means it's going to do its thing regardless. I have the 53 and the 42, which it's going to bring me cycles. And what is that going to do? It's going to help me mature. It's going to help me expand. So I kind of don't even need to put all my effort and energy focusing on that. And I have been, and I had been, and I just came to the recent realization that I can just let go and trust that I'm going to mature. I'm going to evolve with every birthday, with every milestone. I'm picking up new things that I've learned. And I don't need to worry about finding this gift and talents already within me. It's just like, can you surrender to it? And that's your holy grail. That's the thing that you're offering to the world. That's what you're bringing, your true self, your light to the world. That's kind of what I'm feeling with that.
Yeah, I agree. And what I was seeing as well today was a little bit scary, is that whatever has to do with the body and the soul is very much is yin, or it's night. It's that dark part of the yin and yang. So the outside doesn't have a lot of access to it. It's an inner journey with yourself, with your soul, with your depth, with the deep waters. So it's something that you do. It's a soul discovery. And that's what I feel like you're speaking about, Ashley, too. It's like, it's happening when we want to be here in our bodies and we are kind of, excited about the journey. There is going to be this inner discovery. And then the spirit part and the expansion part has to do with the Gene Keys. For example, when we read a Gene Key book, well, like it's going to expand. We understand that we are not stuck in the shadows. We understand that there's even like a unity, acidic way of understanding things. And what I realized is that part is almost more tricky, because since it is the outer, it is the action, it is the eros, kind of that what's going in the world. that's where we can be more influenced. So if there is kind of a, and it has to do with light, I guess, too. So if there is a false light out there, if there is something that is impacting our minds, we can think that that is like where to put the energy. We can confuse that with spirit in a way. And this would maybe be, you know, the intelligence that doesn't have love, like Lucifer, or, you know, like all these, there are different ways of seeing it, but there can be something out there that we kind of infuse our spirit in, but it isn't true light. And there can also be like, there could also be outside influence of wanting to influence that part. And if your spirit is busy with something that isn't the truth, how can it ever come down and meet the soul in that sacred union in the heart? So there is something here when people say, oh, the mind is everything. And I actually more and more feel like, oh, don't say that again. I changed the video on YouTube if somebody says the mind is everything, because I don't agree. But what I did see today and what I do understand is that when the mind is busy with something that isn't truth or isn't light, sacred union is impossible, because the soul and the heart is going to know that when that spirit comes down, it's actually not going to trust it and want to merge with it. The feminine is not going to trust the masculine if he isn't pure in his intentions. And that I feel is important. That there's something important here and now with that I feel we all want to be aware of.
There's quite a few of you commenting and joining us on YouTube and on Facebook. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. And there were a couple questions. Hi, Brandon. Brandon's listening from Toronto, Canada. He says his core wound is the 25.4. And somebody was clarifying the core wound comes from your design subconscious Mars placement, right? So yeah, it's the unconscious Mars. So we can't really touch it. It's not in the personality sign. It was 88 days before our birth that defined that part of the gene key sequence, the core wound / vocation sphere. Andrea is watching from YouTube as well. She says, I feel like I didn't really know my genius even as a kid, maybe just due to conditioning. I understand much more now, although I'm learning more and more every single day. And I think that's like where conscious parenting comes in, and where it is important to have parents and mentors and influencers around you who are going to open you up to these different ways for you to discover, what am I good at? What is my talent? You're not having that freedom, and you're having a lot of boundaries and a lot of parents who are saying, be this and fit into this mold, then you may not even discover that. I was lucky enough to have that influence in my life where I had the freedom to explore things, and I kind of knew who I was. And I have a Leo moon, so I think it was easier for me to just tune into like who I was and what I was good at, and I liked showing that off. But I understand. Did you want to add anything to that or say anything to that, Bella?
You know, I was thinking about you. Yeah, you had that, and that you were really lucky in that sense. And I wonder if we're gonna, I was thinking about you and also the goddess reading with the asteroids and the golden age and the split. If all, for me, it's almost like I'm coming. I mean, I don't know why I'm like so passionate today somehow. There's almost like I'm feeling this split that happened sometime after there was harmony on earth, it happened. And that's the split between the masculine and the feminine. So even if we were lucky, I mean, I was born in Sweden in the 80s. I was told I could do anything. There's nothing I couldn't do. There's nothing I couldn't have. And at the same time, did I learn what it is to feel spirit and soul inside of my body, what it is to be completely human that has the masculine and the feminine? Did I learn to trust the masculine as a feminine? Did I learn to trust it in myself, or did I have to like overdo it in myself? Like there are all these, for me, it's almost like everything goes back to that. You can throw the 64 core, the shadows and the core wounds in the rubbish bin, because if you don't know what it means to be a person that has feminine and masculine playing in harmony inside of yourself, or spirit and soul, if you don't even have a notion of what that is, or how that's, it's not what it is, an understanding, but it's about the feeling in the body. Like when you have that, you are in sovereignty. And there is no not self. There is no shadow that's going to scare you. You're just going to be able, and that's where we are now in the gate 40, going over to gate 64. That is meeting the world in surrender, because we know that when you have the inner sovereignty, you don't have to be afraid of what's on the outside. So
Just getting
Ashley's leaving. I'm like, oh my God, what
goodbye. I don't even want to listen to what you're saying, but no, I feel like sovereignty is coming up a lot today. And I feel like a lot of what's going on with current events is like, it has everything to do with sovereignty, you know, and what we choose for ourselves. And I feel like we're getting so far away from our own individual freedoms, you know, and that's where it's kind of like that helicopter parent that's like, you have to do it this way. It's like the powers that be are saying, you have to do it this way, and you have to do this and do that, and this is how we do it. And we're creating up all these structures and laws and things that are keeping us stuck, or we don't feel that expansiveness of that creative freedom of like unbridled, you know, unique self-expression. We're kind of getting like put more and more in a box because homogenization is safe. And that's what the narrative is, you know, let's just all do the same thing, because we can't have these outliers. We can't have these rogue agents. We can't have these people doing whatever they want. And like, if we're going to bring it back to business by design, feel like, oh, I'm getting into my 5-1. I can feel it. I want to tell all you guys, do this. You don't need to listen to me. And my 57.4 in my Mercury is like the dictator of sorts. Like, this is what it is. Okay. So it's our unique privilege and adventure to find our light and to shine our light and to do it in our own unique, special way. And I want everybody to have unbridled creative expression that looks completely different. Nobody's going to do the same thing the same way. And I want everybody to have the, you know, the time, the space, the freedom to be able to explore that. And I want people to experience exponential wealth and exponential possibility. And with not having to worry about money and bills and all these heavy life things, I feel like then we get to have this peace where we're like, oh, I can explore this. I can try this. I can spend on this. It's like people are so constricted in so many different ways. And I remember, Brandon, you said that your core wound was 25. Let me double check. 25.4. Constriction. It's constriction. I feel like we're just like closing in like this. And I just want everyone to experience expansive freedom in all different parts of life. But to do that and to experience that, I feel like choose an area in life where you can give that to yourself, where you're not going to constrict yourself, where you're going to feel that expansiveness so that it can percolate and permeate and just spread into different areas of your life. Like when you can taste that and have that lived, felt sense in your body, no one has to give it to you. You can give it to yourself. So whenever we can have that freedom in our body and feel it and live it and like recognize it, we get to bring that to different areas of our life. And I want to see more people doing more unique things in business. I'm tired of the copycats. I'm tired of everybody saying the same thing. I'm tired of the puppets and the parrots. Like, no more puppets, no more parrots. Like, what wants to come through and out of you that's uniquely yours? And I feel like that's what we're needing to get in touch and in tune with. And when we can go in and do that work and play and adventure of finding that's connecting to that and meeting with the masculine and the feminine in the heart, like Bella was saying, like soul and spirit combined, masculine, feminine combined. What happens? Union and that divine creative child. So we're all birthing something. Do you have the courage to have that within you so that you can share that and birth that into the world? Because I think that's what we need more than ever right now, is those creative expressions, those creative children that we're birthing through us, like physically in reality, like children, and then like these projects, these things that are going to change and transform the world. If you want the world to change, then you need to be the change. So it all starts with us. I think I'm done on that tangent. Let's see what everyone else is saying. A lot of conversation. I love you guys chatting it up. Jennifer has 49.4 Point two. Hers is rebirth and revolution. So that's what she's going to bring to the world. Andrea says, I have a manifestor mom and a reflector dad. That was a whole situation in itself, and a Manny generator sister and a generator brother. So my projector self was like, y'all are wearing me out. Dang, you have all the different aura types in your family. That's a lot and intense and really powerful to have that smorgasbord. You know, it's like you have the whole buffet and you get to experience each of them. All right. Any more questions? Thanks for tuning in so much. I had a question show up for me this morning about what it would be like to be taking up all of the space I need and require for my expansion. This matches that energy. No more puppets and parrots. Yeah, no more puppets and parrots. Okay. Did you have anything else that you wanted to share? What feels like a thread onto this, or what do you see changing in business? Maybe too, Bella.
Today it feels like I'm super kind of simplifying it to that thing. Like, if we don't feel that inner union, we cannot do anything in business. We cannot do anything in our life and our family. It really comes from that. Like, the inner sovereignty is a request, like it's a requisite for anything else. And I feel like we have been able to somehow to be out of integrity and still be in business. That's been okay. There are so many of us that weren't in inner union and we still were doing business all over the place. And I believe that that's what's falling apart. And we actually have, I think it's Venus right now and Pluto that are squaring each other, 32 and 61. They're, you know, and 61 is in Capricorn. Some of these old structures are going to have to die. It's psychosis, 61, to continue those structures. And Venus is all about values. And she's in the 32 saying, you know, guys, there are some things here that you've been putting water to and you know, having grow, but they are actually quite sick. So what's worth preserving for the coming generations? And it's a Libra energy, so it's about harmony. Where do we put the nurturing in order so that we can come into a world and give inspiration to coming generations, not more psychosis, not more Capricornian structures that we have outgrown. So it feels, and I believe that we have Mercury in the 18, which is integrity. So it's really coming back to our own integrity and our own division. I mean, I have it. I have my purpose is the 7. Division it's the shadow frequency. So maybe I am, in some way, I'm extra aware of it. And I feel like I'm so tired of the division in me, and I'm so ready to even watch it in the face as it leaves. And that's what I've learned. If we're not ready to see the distortion leave, then often we wait and we kind of hold on to those structures. And that's where there is more of the same. And I think somehow more of the same is starting to be critical in the sense that we can't continue with it. If we do more of the same, it is psychosis. So we want to do something different, to have a different outcome in our individual lives, in our relationships, in business. I don't see a lot of what Richard is speaking about, philanthropy. I think this corporate social responsibility is a joke many times. So what is true responsibility as individuals and organizations and a collective? That's what is interesting. And that's what I feel, you know, that is like the whole intention and the kind of grail question for business and for business by design. So if we're sitting here, I feel like that's where we kind of want to start, because otherwise it's like more usual business, which is boring.
Which is like the old structure, like you were saying. You just brought in kind of like a weaving or a pattern or a formula here for people. So you guys know that we've been talking about the core, your vocation or your core, and some of you have placed it in there, but Bella just brought in her purpose sphere. So I want to tell you that in order for us to get into the doing and the alignment and the sovereignty, we're going to need to strengthen our core stability. And so she's going to utilize her purpose sphere to help her know, like, do I have core stability? What am I anchoring into? Because she's not going to have that union inside of herself. If the 2.4 is her life's work and the 7.6 is her purpose, then it's like she has to be united in the heart with her masculine and her feminine. Like that's the way that Bella thrives and it's going to be so important for her to be discerning of who she works with as well, with the 44.3 that she has in her culture sphere. She's going to also want to hold people to the integrity of, are you in sacred union within yourself? Are you bringing in the light and the dark? Are you spirit and soul? Are you this and that? Do you have a preference? And she's going to be pointing out your preference, because she's also going to need to look inside of herself and be like, what's my preference? Is there a preference? Because as soon as there's a preference, there's division. And preference means like, I'm going to side with this. When she can hold both perspectives and both things at once, that's where union comes in. So she's not going to be able to do business or be in business if she's not holding herself to that integrity and holding herself in for accountability. She can't tell other people to do that if she's not doing it for herself. So that's what she's always checking in with. So that's Bella's. Did you want to say anything about?
No, I loved it, the way you said it. So
if you guys are doing that, I would look at your purpose sphere and weave that together. Mine is the 10.1. So this is all about naturalness, my own individual naturalness, investigating my naturalness, being in this unbridled expression of naturalness and being okay in my aloneness, feeling empowered. And my behavior is the investigator. If the 10.1 is all about the behavior of the self, then I'm here to be an investigator. I'm here to empower myself, and I'm here to give this naturalness to myself and not give my power away to someone else that says, you can't do that. You can't be like that. I'm here to be my wild woman extreme expression, however it comes out, whatever it looks like. And if I'm ever dimming my light, it's not doing anyone any justice. And I've had tons of business experiences where as soon as somebody disagreed with kind of how I was bringing through something, or maybe they did something that I did and maybe I thought they did it better, or I didn't want to rock the boat with them and I didn't want them to feel inadequate around me because I was good at it. I've always been really good at whatever I tried. And a lot of people would, why is it always so easy for you? Why is this? It's just was just so easy for me. That's just how it is. And then I started to feel shame and guilt around how easy things were for me. So I would dim a little bit. And my 10.1 isn't here to dim either. I'm just here to be my individual expression. And so that's going to be important for me. If I can feel free to be me and have peace with being me, then I can give that to the world and share that with the world. Nobody wants a half-hearted Ashley. Nobody wants half of me showing up. I don't want half of me showing up. So part of my uncovery has been expanding into the potential and pure possibility that is me. And so that's been my thing. And I'm never going to let other people dim their light either. I can recognize when people are not being creatively expressed, or I can feel when they have this emotional charge or something is ready for breakthrough. Because a lot of the reason that we're saying no to ourselves is because we have a lot of guilt, shame, all these different emotions around our identity. And I want to get those emotions integrated and seen so that we can start to be ourselves, become ourselves, and just shine our light. And that's what I'm noticing with my 6.5 in my life's work, is that those emotions, the shame, the guilt, the all the other things, that's what's in the way of us actually being ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm feel just to conclude today, there is something. It's important with those systems that we don't get too far out in the worlds, and we're like in all the words and all the differences, because we are here to be unique and differentiated. And somehow what I can see today, when we're human, it's a similar journey, and it's about sovereignty. And the gene keys and human design can help us. And at the end of the day, still, it's like when you go to bed, how good does it feel? How in peace do you feel in your body? And I think that a lot with the 40 is to find that peace inside, because it even says God is not outside of you. So if you don't find the peace inside, there's no other way to find it. So I would also invite in a little bit of like the simplicity here. I feel like that is important. We can become really, really technical, especially in the business by design that we're doing. I mean, I think if somebody would join the course now that we are like almost halfway through, it could be extremely overwhelming because it's very technical. So I just want to make sure that we don't forget the essence and the simplicity and the felt sense of union that we can have, even if we never learned about astrology, gene keys, or anything. Yeah, I think that's what I just would say to conclude.
Mm, thank you. And it all comes back to the quintessence, the essence of who you are. And we can go so far out and expand it and expand it. But it comes from that essence. It comes from that point of union and conception, right? The Big Bang. So we can explore the galaxy, the universe, the solar system, and we can also go back to the essence of it, where union happened. And that's what Bella's also alluding to. So thanks for joining us for this first episode of Business by Design for What's Alive. And I hope that this was fun, because it was fun for us. And we really like it when you guys comment and interact. That was like a discussion instead of just me and Bella talking to each other and to you. So thanks for contributing. And we hope to see you next week. And we'll see JLo, we'll see you, and Jennifer, we'll see you in Business by Design in a little over an hour. So thanks for being here. Bye, everyone.